Hey everybody, let's try this again. Okay, I have the latest on the 8 o'clock update. The winds have dropped down to 100 miles per hour. So it's doing exactly what I forecasted. Not really, Michelle. On the last broadcast, and even last night I talked about it. How it was going to weaken as it goes up the coast, because it's going to be, well, it already is, running into cooler waters. There's a lot of things that's starting to affect it. Part of it, hey Doc, and also, the coast is affecting it too. Parts of it is actually really raining itself out. So, it's about 37 miles right now away from Southport. Let's go ahead and get you the latest information. Now, the webcam that I have for now, this is from Southport. I normally don't show other storm chasers that are not on StormView Live, but this guy is really cool. This is John Humphreys. This is his live stream. And this is where potential landfall could happen, but they are definitely already experiencing hurricane force winds. Hey Patty. So as you can see, I'm running out of daylight for visible satellite, but I figure I'd put that up there. And okay, he's restarting his stream. Now he's in Southport. John Humphreys, he's a really good storm chaser. I wish he was on our team, but he's not. But he's still a cool guy. How you doing, South Paul and everybody else I haven't mentioned? But let's go ahead and switch to radar. Now, all those green boxes, those are flash flood warnings. Hi, Jane. Now, this is Southport right here. And as you can see, they're getting the northern part of that eye wall. So they're starting to get those hurricane force winds. Now, is this thing going to make landfall there? I'm not sure. It could. But definitely, they're getting the worst part of the storm, which is the eye wall. And you can see on this 3-hour loop how it really blows up there on the north side. This is the latest frame on radar. So I just wanted to show you all that. Go ahead and look at his webcam. And you can see how it's starting to peel that roof off. It looks like they put something over the roof to help protect it, and it's ripping it off. There's no sense at this point, folks. Normally, in the past over a week, I've been showing you models. There's no sense in that because this thing is too close to shore. And I want to transition over to here and show you the satellite view. Oh, this is going to be a rough one. You can see I'm starting to run out of daylight. Let it load up the frames here. And according to satellite, it looks like it's just going to skirt. But when you look at radar, it looks like it's going to get it. So depends on if it wobbles. If it happens to wobble to the left just a little bit, it's going to hit. Definitely, I do think that possibly Morehead City. Whoops. I didn't want to do that. And the Outer Banks, I still think will get hit. Let's go ahead and switch this over to infrared. Now it's going to flicker, folks, till it loads up all the frames. And remember, yeah, the wobble song again, Michelle. Yeah, I did, didn't I, Patty? I called the Outer Banks days ago. Hey, thank you for the new follow. Thanks for joining the Stormview Live team. So, again, the only thing that's really changed, and you can see on the ticker at the bottom, is that the winds have dropped down. It was 105 3 hours ago, and now it's 100. So the winds have dropped. The pressure is still the same at 964, and it's moving northeast at 10 miles per hour. So only the wind speed has died down. And I said that, the last couple of days, that as it moves into cooler waters, it doesn't have near the fuel it needs. So there on that satellite view, it might miss Southport, but man, they're still getting the eye wall winds. And if you draw a line here, okay, up here is the Outer Banks, where that pink line is. That's the Outer Banks. It's headed right for them. You can see some red squares popping up there. That is tornado warnings. The green boxes are flash flood warnings. And this is a 3-hour satellite. 3-hour satellite loop. So oh, Michelle, reboot your computer. Now I want to go ahead and add radar on this. I'll turn the satellite so it loads faster. Give it a little bit and it'll get the radar loaded up. Now this will be a culmination of all the radar sites all along the coast there. Now, folks, we still have to deal with these outer bands as it pushes up further to the north. These outer bands will cause quick spin up tornadoes. So even in Virginia Beach, I mean, the eye will miss Virginia Beach, but these outer bands are going to raise havoc. Oh, really? Southpaw, if you're watching over on YouTube, Southpaw over here on Twitch said he's had the clouds and winds today from the storm, and they're 200 miles inland. Like I was showing last night. Now the outer bands were limited to the coast. They wasn't going inland because of the dry air in place. Now this thing is taking over that dry air, and as you can see, this rain field alone, I mean, it's pushing way inland. I mean, Florence, near Columbia, South Carolina, North Carolina, clear over by Greensboro, Raleigh. It's not that far away from Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank goodness NASCAR is not going to be there. And the tropical storm force winds, I haven't got an update yet, but the last that I knew, they were pushing over 175 miles away from the center. Now the eye is, I mean, it's pretty decent. It's not real tight round, so it's a little disorganized compared to what it was even 3 hours ago. And that is a sign that it's weakening. Okay, I'm seeing now that hurricane force winds is only 5 miles away from Southport. Now, I want to show you the Saffir-Simpson scale. This is what will give you your categories. I'm working a little slow tonight. Okay, here's your wind scale with categories. Oh yeah, frying pan's going to get hit. I can't show you the webcam right now. Because it's too dark. But that flag, oh man, it's really got ripped. But as you can see here, Cat 2 is 96 to 110 miles per hour. So it's a mid-range Cat 2 right now. Now, as this thing goes along, it will weaken down and eventually be a Cat 1. But still, the storm surge is horrendous. Again, if you're just joining me, here's the latest 8 o'clock information. Still a Cat 2 at 100 miles per hour wind, 964 millibars, northeast at 10 miles per hour. Let me go back to that camera view is from Southport. On YouTube, Tom, what are the chances that it bumps east and comes ashore? Pretty unlikely at this point. It's done a little wobble, but it's headed right for Camp Hatteras and the Outer Banks. And it very well could make, if it wobbles to the west, at least a little bit, it'll make landfall in Southport, which is where this camera view is. but it's not wobbling that much now. So I don't think it will ever get a chance to go east and then come back. It's pretty much got its track formed, and I'll show you the track for the models here. That is the current track. And to give you some contrast, let me blow this up so it's easier to see. So even up here at Maine, I mean, they still got it as a hurricane. It'll probably be Cat 1 by the time it gets up here east of Boston. But the tropical storm force winds, even at that point, is going to affect New York, Boston, and clear up into Maine. They're not having it drop hurricane force until it gets past Newfoundland, up there in Nova Scotia. So here's what we got to deal with as far as the code. Now the orange circle, that's your hurricane force winds. Outside of that is your tropical storm force winds, which the lighter green is up to 39 miles per hour. The darker green is up to 58, which tropical storm force winds, they are 39 to 73 mile per hour winds. Once they're 74 mile per hour winds, then it's considered a Cat 1. Okay, we'll go back to the satellite. Now, like I say, this is a culmination of all the radar sites all in that area. So they're all put together. Hey, Jennifer streaming? Cool. Let's take a look. Let me get her loaded up here, see what she sees. Right there, folks. One of our Stormview Live chasers, Jennifer McMahon. That link will let you, excuse me, watch her and me. It looks like she's getting some pretty stiff winds here. Where's she at? Last I see, oh, actually, I think she's there at. Okay, I got her right next to the KLTX radar. So she's not real far away from those hurricane force winds. Oh, she's at the Waffle House. Oh, come on. You don't eat when you're storm chasing. Thank you, Becky. You tell her she ain't allowed to eat when she's storm chasing a hurricane. Not eating, no hotels? Oh, I wouldn't think so. I could believe that. I'm surprised that they even found something open. Yeah, I'm surprised she's not at a Starbucks. What's she doing at Waffle House? Ain't there no Starbucks? Folks, for those of you that don't watch Jennifer McMahon, be sure to give her a follow, and especially if you're a Starbucks lover, because she is. I think that girl would do practically anything to do with storm chasing if there was a Starbucks on the way. Again, let's go back, and I want to change this. Now, I can't show you visible satellite naturally because the sun is down. And it's going to flicker some, it's going to take a while to load, but I'm going to put infrared and the radar together. Really, Becky? What for Starbucks? Now I'll turn the radar off. And notice as the storms rotate around that eye, they're not near as dark, which means not near as strong as what they was 3 hours ago. So this thing is definitely weakening. U.S. Starbucks, I know why she didn't share it with me. Because a couple years ago, I had 1 cup of regular Starbucks coffee, just one little cup, and I couldn't sit still. You would have thought I was taking drugs or something from what that one little cup of Starbucks coffee, what it did to me. It kept me awake though. I don't think I slept for a week. Actually, this was when we went to Indiana ChaserCon, and and we drove back that night, and I didn't get no sleep till the next day. Exactly, Jane. Had the Starbuck heebie-jeebies. It gave me the shakes. Oh my lord! It aggravated my Parkinson's. Southpaw, you don't drink coffee? Come on, man. You're kidding, Michelle. Something's wrong with you people. Okay, folks, I see some more has joined me. I can't drink tea. I cannot drink tea. So I'm going to transition over here, and her stream is down. So I will switch back over. And it's rarely that you'll ever see me showing another storm chaser that's not on our team. But this guy is really good. He's a good guy. So, folks, that's the latest on the information that I have. 100 miles per hour wind, pressure at 964. So the pressure didn't change from 3 hours ago, and it's still northeast of 10. That didn't change. So there you go. Now that webcam view, by the way, is a storm chaser who's streaming from Southport. I'm surprised he's got data because the hurricane force winds is only a few miles away from him, probably less than 5 miles by now. Yep, that's right, Southpaw. Yeah, I hope John does too. And I really wanted to show you guys the frying pan. It won't update. Do you have the latest GR3? Have you updated it? This stream Molly is John Humphreys. He's not on Twitch. Michelle, what version on GR3? Go to the help, pull down, hit about, and you should have 290. If not, tell me. There's very few people who still stream on Severe Studios, and that's where John is streaming. But Michelle, if you don't have 290, I'll send you the link. Oh, there's your problem. Hang tight, girl. We'll get you taken care of. I got to remember where I put that file. Y'all don't look. Oh, googly moogly. Let me find the file and I'll send you the update. Now, don't you all be looking at my porn. Nah, I ain't got. I'm just kidding. I ain't got no porn. Oh, really, Patty? Oh, wow. Michelle, this link that I'm going to send you, save this because it's the same link. Anytime there's an update, use the same link. There you go, hon. Be sure before you run that you close your GR3, then run it, and then refire it up, and you should be good to go. Well, she's trying to get it back. Go full screen there, Jen. Ah, she's having connection issues with her cable. She uses the same capture card that I use, which is the Hauppauge PVR 60. So she's having troubles with it. I've never had any troubles with mine. You're welcome, Michelle. I take care of my team members. No, but what we do, Becky, uh, she's using the software for the Hauppauge. That's what you see on the screen. And then all she's got to do when she gets that to work there is make it go full screen. And when she does that, it works. Streamlabs or OBS doesn't have a driver that supports that capture card. And I warned her about that when she switched from XSplit. There she goes. She got it. It's just an extra program. You got to use the Hauppauge capture software and then make it go full screen, and then it works. And it freezes again. Yeah, that's what Brady was saying last night. That he was asking me if I had any troubles with mine, and I said no. And the only thing that I ever changed in that capture program is to mute the microphone in the camera. Hopefully, one of these days, they will, Streamlabs and OBS will support the PVR 60. And for those watching, what we're talking about is the capture device that hooks between the camera and the laptop when you're using a camcorder. The PVR 60 is it's like half price of any other one, and it worked great in XSplit, worked perfect. But for some reason, OBS and Streamlabs does not support it. So anybody new joining me, what you're seeing on the screen, upper left, is the radar out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Bottom right is the infrared satellite view. Bottom left is my partner in crime on Stormview Live, one of our storm chasers, Jennifer McMahon. And she's not far from Southport, she's just west. And in the upper right is the latest information on the storm itself. Cat 2, 100 miles per hour. It has dropped since the last 3 hours. 964 millibars and steady. Northeast at 10 miles per hour is the way it's moving. And it looks like that eye is just going to miss Southport. But they're still getting the hurricane storm force winds that are around the eye wall. And I still say that it'll be tomorrow, or real early in the morning, or tomorrow. Excuse me. This thing will be going up and hitting Hatteras and the Outer Banks. It's headed right for them. If it doesn't change direction, which we're not expecting it to, it's definitely going to hit them. Go back and see what John's saying. Now he's further east of Jennifer, so he's getting those hurricane force winds. Yeah, Rippy over on YouTube. I explained that earlier. Um, Let me come back to my studio. And what was happening? Okay, the Bermudas was here. There was a high pressure system off to the east side of it. Clockwise rotation was pushing up on it, right? Well, there was also a high pressure system in the Gulf, and that's swinging around, pushing down. So it was stalled out with those high pressure systems hitting it from the north and hit it from the south. So it couldn't move. So we had to wait till the high pressure system in the Gulf gave up and moved away. And that's when it started moving again. Which, as I explained several days ago, that was one of the steering options was going to be those two high pressure systems. There was also one to the north of it that day that it stalled up around Tennessee. So it shoved it down from the north. So the only escape that it had was to the south, and it couldn't do it because the east and west was holding it, plus the one to the north. So that's the reason why it stalled out for 40 plus hours. No, it wasn't nothing to do with a Bermuda Triangle. Although the high that was over in the ocean, they do call that the Bermuda High. So once that high in the Gulf moved away, then it started to make its little move and it wobbled a little bit. Also, we have a trough that's come down, which a trough is a dip in the jet stream. And so that's come down and going up the East Coast. And that's the reason why that and the high out in the Atlantic is what's steering it up the coast. So that's our main two steering factors right now. That's the reason why she's going northeast instead of making landfall. You got the dip in the jet stream going right up the coast and a high swinging its winds around and squeezing it right up the coast. And it's going to be speeding up. Oh, it hasn't yet. Well, it has sped up a little bit because at one time earlier it was 7 miles per hour and now it's up to 10. But the further northeast it goes, the more that trough, which hasn't quite pushed all the way down to the coast just yet. But once it gets down there, those upper level winds in the jet stream, it's going to grab a hold of it and just speed it up. So it will be speeding up. Now, let's see here. Notice how, and I'll stop the movement here and go to the latest frame. See how all these bands are getting shoved to the north instead of the rest of the way around it? That's all part of that upper level jet, the trough that's come down here. And I can show you that on water vapor. Let me zoom out and let me put this in motion. And Patty, I'm not sure. Let's let this load up the water vapor, and I'll show you this. Let's see where that trough is at. Now the trough is being shoved south because of a low pressure system that's now up into Canada. And there is a high in the west. That's a ridge. That's where your jet stream goes north and loops around. And what that ends up doing, it brings a lot warmer temperatures out west. So there's a ridge in the west and a trough in the east. So whenever you watch your local TV channels or the Weather Channel and they call about a ridge, that's influenced by a high that's shoving it north. And if you watch this in motion, you can see that happening out west. You see the clockwise movement and see how it's pushing way north. Now, if I add the temperatures on here, you can actually see how the temperatures in the west is really rising. I mean, there's places like Sioux City, Iowa, that's like 20 degrees warmer than what it is in Mexico. But also notice these temperatures in the east. Look here, up here where I'm at in Ohio, Indiana, temperatures are in the 70s, and down here in the southeast, they're in the 90s. So that also shows me that there's a cold front pushing down with this jet stream. Now I'll pause this, and I want you to watch this area right here. Watch the cloud movement. You can see how she's coming down and then curving. That's your jet stream. Yes, Michelle. There's several Twitch channels that are showing this hurricane, and some of them are just webcam. Some of them are other stuff. Storm Track TV. He usually just plays music. There's nobody explaining stuff like I am. There is one channel, and the guy, I don't want to badmouth him, but a couple nights ago, he was showing radar, and he was saying all the rain was on the west side of the storm. Well, the radar can't reach out far enough to show the east side. And so he was wrong by saying all the rain was on the west side. Because if he would have looked at the satellite views and other information, it was all the way around the storm. It wasn't just on the west side. And he dresses up real fancy with a tie. He got short hair, and he's trying to be a newscaster. And it kind of, I don't want to badmouth him, but he was not given the right information at all. I watched him for a while, and it was totally the wrong information. And I don't want to see that. It doesn't make me jealous that somebody else is also streaming the hurricane, as long as they give the accurate information, because he's got his followers, a whole 100 or two, and 2 or 3 that watches this stream at any one time. But he is getting the information out if it's accurate, and I strive for that. You all know me. I strive for accurate information, and I do the right explanations, and you can see it. You can see what I show you when I'm explaining, like I was just explaining the ridge and the trough. You can see that for yourself when I'm showing you the water vapor. Okay, you know who it is? That's okay. Let him have his fun. But it just gets me a little excited when I see somebody giving the wrong information. I think that was the same guy that was a troll a few nights ago that got me upset. Now that Storm Track TV, he is showing good stuff, and I like his banners and his setup and everything. But he only plays music or videos. He doesn't get on there and talk. Of course, maybe he can't, but he is putting out accurate information, and it's pretty up to date. So that channel's pretty cool. I don't mind mentioning Storm Track TV. Yeah, exactly, Patty. There are lives at stake. If you're given the wrong information, it could kill somebody. And I do not want that responsibility. So that's the reason why before I ever go live, I go through the facts and try to bring you, as I've said before, the most accurate and up to date information that I can find through multiple sources, because I don't want to put nobody's lives at stake. How in the world could I live with myself? Uh, yeah, your post was blocked, but you're right. It's the guy with the glasses. Uh, Yellow rotation markers. Oh, the meso marker. Yeah, as I'm going through the radar loop, I see yellow and a green. Those are different altitudes of rotation, but I just about bet if I look at it, it's most likely going to be horizontal rotation. And let's take a look at that. Give me a minute here. Well, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to talk. Okay, this is going to be hard coming off of that radar site because it's so close. I may have to raise the tilt up. And give me a minute, it's trying to load the data. If I can get level 2. I'm getting delayed data. Up there it is. Okay, Jen's right next to the radar site. Now let's bring it up in 3D. And I'll have to switch screens here. Okay, there's a look at the eye. You can see it's not near as clear as it was. There's a 3D view. Now, when I go checking storm relative velocity, now this is GR2 analyst. Oh God! And I rotate this around and start taking a look at it here. But basically, you can see it here from the south side. The greens are going towards the radar, and the reds are going away from the radar. And you can see how it's flat, one color over the other. So that's horizontal rotation. Now let's take a slice through it. This is another way that I can look in that area with a GR2 analyst. And I'm looking for right around where Jen's at. This is taking a slice through the storm. And let's look at SRV. And you can see there it's horizontal rotation. If it was vertical, the red and greens, you'd have red on one side and green on the other. But you can see the red is below the green, so that's horizontal. Have to be careful about that sometimes when I'm helping the storm chasers. And, oh gosh, it didn't switch screens. What the heck? Darn it, let's do that again. Or no, never mind. Duh. My brain's getting whacked. Too much hurricane. But got to be really careful about that when I'm helping a storm chaser, because a tornado warning will come out, or somebody will see a TVS signature, and sometimes I got to bring it up in 3D like that to make sure that it is vertical, because sometimes you'll get a TVS or tornado vortex signature, and it will be horizontal. I wouldn't say burnout, but damn near it. Yeah, if it wobbles just a little bit, and let's look at the radar. If it wobbles just a little bit to the west, then it will be considered landfall there at Southport. But they're getting the hurricane storm force winds right now, so pretty much the next thing to landfall. That's fine, Michelle. I'm happy to teach anybody, especially somebody on the team. Yeah, exactly, Terry. It's all relative at this point. I mean, they're getting the worst part of it. The eye wall is where the strongest winds are. Yeah, I do believe uh, it will go down in the history books. Whether or not they'll retire the name, I don't know. It did so much devastation. And last I've heard, and it's been a while since I've got updated, but 27 people so far have lost their lives to this storm. And that number is going to go up. And I do believe, personally, this is my own opinion, is that the death toll and just in the two Bahama Islands is going to go over 100. I really do think that. Okay, have dropped the pressure. I didn't see that, Becky. So I got to update my ticker. So the pressure has dropped from 964 to let's see, 958. So 964 to 958. Looks like that's the only thing that changed. So now my ticker should be updated. Now I gotta update my other. So give me a sec while I update my stuff. And you know what? A lot of people kind of downplay this hurricane. They don't look. I mean, from some of the camera views and that, it doesn't look like it was all that devastating. But there's so many areas with power outage and trees down and stuff that aren't being shown. So there's a lot of damage. Let me get this other update. I gotta update what I showed you guys on the screen. Well, at least those two islands. But yeah, Grand Bahama, I just about bet 100% of it from storm surge because they were getting 20 plus feet waves, and the highest point is only 15 feet on both those islands, the Abaco and the Grand Bahama. Yeah, Southport. Southport is what I'm talking about. They're getting slammed from the hurricane force winds. Now, like I was saying on my last broadcast, the only good thing about this thing stalling out in the Bahamas is that it did give the East Coast 40 plus more hours to get ready. Yeah, there's been some of it that I've seen. I won't show. You know, the other night I showed you guys the helicopter view of the devastation, but the ground level videos I didn't want to show that. It's just too horrendous, and that's my own personal feelings. We don't need to be reminded that much of the horrific things that they were showing. It was bad enough looking at that helicopter view. I mean, that told the story. That told the overall story. Now, I did watch some videos on the Weather Channel of where they were doing helicopter rescues from Abaco down to Nassau, which Nassau, they were roughly 90, 100 miles south, so they didn't hardly get near the damage, if any. Yeah, if I can't watch a video, I'm not going to show it on my stream. Believe it or not, Terry, that got blocked because that fetishizing. I went ahead and approved it though. But you're right. You're right. I mean, if somebody really wants to watch the really, really bad stuff, they can go to somewhere and watch it themselves. I'm not going to show it. I've got kids that watch this channel, so I don't want to traumatize anybody. There's even adults that would get traumatized from that. So I just don't do that. So if you're just joining me, folks, there is the latest information. Still Cat 2 100 mile per hour wind. Ouch, that hurt. Pressure 958. It has dropped down. Still moving northeast at 10. I tell you what, if you meet me in person, hey, thanks for the follow. Uh, I can cuss like a sailor at times. You'll rarely hear me cuss on my stream or Zello. So I need to take a break, folks. My throat's really bothering me in my back. I will leave the stream up now that we have the latest information. I will leave the stream up, but I need to get up and walk around and rest my voice for a little bit. So please, people, don't go away. I'll be back here in a little bit. Let me take a break. And thank you all for joining me. And again, if you like what I do, and you can, you don't have to, but if you'd like for me to be able to keep coming to you and either get, bits, subs, donations, I would greatly appreciate it. But you don't have to. You can watch this channel. I'm not going to make anybody. So anyway, thanks for joining me, y'all. And if you're watching and haven't done it yet, hit the follow button. So next time I go live, you'll get notifications on it. So, okay, Jane, thanks for joining me. Night. So I'm going to mute the mic and give me a chance to walk around, and I'll be back. Okay. I'm just doing some checking, some measuring. And roughly, it's about 80 miles from Morehead City, which is out there on the southern part of the Outer Banks. About 80 miles, and it's only moving 10 miles per hour. You can do the math. It's definitely going to be in the wee hours of the morning or early morning, depending on if it changes speed. It's kind of hard for me to judge landfall just yet because it is still got a little bit of a wobble, and plus it could slow down or speed up some more. Again, if you're just joining the stream or haven't seen the information yet, this is the latest as of 9 o'clock. 100 mile per hour wind, Cat 2, pressure at 958 millibar, northeast at 10 mile per hour. The next main update will be 11 o'clock. I was wondering what the heck he was talking about. I went to walk outside and talk to one of my neighbors and keep them updated, and they already went inside. I think I'm the only old folk here in this apartment complex that goes outside late of a night. And sometime in the next hour, I got to help one of my neighbors hook up his internet. I'm the live-in weather guy in IT for computers and stuff. So what was that one character from one of the movies? I think it was God. What was his name? Steve something or other. I'm a very popular guy. Every morning when I go to the mini mart that's right next door, um, the manager is like, "What's the weather today, weather guy?" That's what she called me for 2 years, was weather guy. Okay, there's Humphrey's live stream from Southport. The other one was Jennifer McMahon's, and she's a little bit further west. Actually, Humphrey's moved a little bit, but I don't think he went too far. They're still saying he's Southport. But they are definitely getting those hurricane force winds right now. And Jim Cantori, I see, is just a little bit north in Kerr Beach. Yeah, it took 2 years for Michelle to learn my name. It's pretty strong over where Jen is, but she's not right in the hurricane force winds. He's just outside of it. So this is down here at Southport, and Jen's over here close to the radar. So these are the hurricane force bands that's around the eye. Well, I'm pretty good with names when somebody slaps me or gives me a kiss. Other than that, I'm bad with names too. If a real pretty girl gave me a kiss, I would definitely remember her name. See what Jen's looking at. Ah, her stream is down. I know. I live too far away for all the cool people that I know. I got a gal that has followed me, and we're good friends. That lives down in Baton Rouge, and she actually invited me to come down there and move in. I would love to go to Baton Rouge. Thanks, Michelle. I didn't know Michael Koch was back up streaming again. Let's take a look at that. Okay, he's traveling. And I see that Jennifer's trying to get hers back up. Yeah, man, moved to Baton Rouge. All that good food. That's my main reason I'd want to move down there. It's good food. I love Cajun food. Love it. Not so much since I had my cancer surgery. Um, that part of me doesn't like it so much, but I love Cajun food. So, folks, kind of hurry up and wait. I'm waiting for something good to happen. You can really see those outer bands on the upper left on the radar. Or not the outer bands, excuse me, the eye wall bands. Because you can see the eye, daggone it, as it's approaching. And see how that eye wall is getting stronger and stronger, at least on that side of it. So it definitely looks like the eye itself is not going to make landfall there at Southport. It looks like she wobbled back to the east. I think it's going to miss it from what it looks like there on the radar. And here's a composite of all the radar sites. And you can see these outer bands clear up in Virginia, way up there. I mean, they still have tornado watch going clear up to Virginia Beach. So overnight, there's a real strong chance, even though I haven't seen any in a while, there could be some tornadoes overnight. Now, the way this thing, uh, this way this thing is looking, and I'll pause this here. It looks like she's got a track right up through the Outer Banks, and it's going to go on. Virginia Beach will probably get some storm force winds, but they're not going to get the real strong stuff. And the thing is, and I'll zoom in here, you know, these Outer Bank islands, they're not big enough. Even at Morehead City, down there on the southern point, that part right there isn't large enough land when it makes landfall that it will disrupt it a whole lot. It will affect it as it goes up here through the Outer Banks. Thank goodness, though, because some of the tracks and part of the model cone had it going all the way up through here. I mean, there was a possibility that it could have made landfall. You know, inland, all the way up from Myrtle Beach. Actually, last night there was a possibility from Charleston, South Carolina, and all the way up that it could have made landfall. So thank goodness it hasn't, but it didn't turn like the model said. It waited, got closer to the shore. So a lot of the East Coast shores have been battling with these hurricane force winds. And you know, not to mention the all the rain this thing's bringing, life-threatening rain. There's been so many of these green boxes on here. Those are flash flood warnings. Let me turn the radar. Ah, I didn't want mezzo. You see these green boxes here? Those are all flash flood warnings. So, for those of you that might just be joining in, here's the latest information that I have. Still Cat 2, winds at 100, pressure at 958. Thank goodness it's moving northeast now, but it's only moving 10 miles per hour. But it's still faster than what it's been in several days. This is pretty much, for the most part, been a slow mover ever since it was a tropical storm, before it even got near Puerto Rico. Okay, chat. I hear snoring. I must be boring you. I am tired too, Patty. I am so tired. This thing, it's one of the longest hurricanes that I've worked on. And it's got my throat wore out. I'm mentally getting wore out. Yes, it is. Trying to forecast this thing, and I'm not even a professional, meteorologist, and they have been confused because the models say one thing and it does something else. It's had a mind of its own for the most part. I mean, now we're all confident in the models uh, in the path that's it's going to take now. But in the past week, I mean, this thing has just been horrid trying to figure out, okay, where's this thing going to go? I've had my own opinions other than what the model said. Some of them have been right, some of them been wrong. But I'm no different than the guys on the Weather Channel that's getting paid big bucks. So we've all been wrong at some point of this thing. So I'm debating. I tell you what, Patty. Again, like I said, the only good thing about it stalling out in the northern Bahama Islands was the fact that it gave emergency management more time to get prepared for this thing. Plus, this thing has been such a slow mover, even after it got moving again. Parts of the Carolinas, they had good plans in place clear back on Sunday because of the slow movement and the fact that it stalled. So for the East Coast, they had more preparation time, to get ready for this. And that's been a blessing as far as that goes. Now, oh my God, I hate for the people in Bahamas, but they didn't take it serious. Oh, it's just another hurricane. No big deal. We're used to that. Every hurricane is different. Every one is different. If they were all the same, we'd have perfect plans. But they didn't take it serious, and I didn't start seeing evacuation notices in those Bahama Islands until the day before it hit. It's like, oh my God, people. It's a hurricane. It's Cat 5. It's coming at you. Get the heck out of there. You wouldn't have seen me staying. I would have found out some way to get out of there. And I guarantee you, when they get done searching for people in Abaco and the Grand Bahama, that death number is going to go over 100. I just about guarantee that. And I hate to say that, but it's a fact. Yeah, lots of poor and limited ways, but the government there could have got them off of there. They started doing it the day before. I mean, there's flights out of there, there's ships out of there. They should have got them out, just like our East Coast had done with their evacuations. I mean, North Carolina was evacuating, yesterday or the day before? And this thing, it's taking forever to get there. Actually, I think it was at least a couple of days ago they did mandatories. So the government could have helped out even the poor people. To me, from what I've seen, and now this is my opinion, but from the videos I've seen, a lot of the people that got hit really bad were poor people. Disclaimer time. This is my opinion, nobody else's. But they could have done a lot better. They could have evacuated people by helicopters, ships, aircraft, got them to the Nassau Island or even some of the others. Nassau's only 90, 100 miles to the south, and they was hardly affected whatsoever. So those people should have been evacuated to at least Nassau. I mean, it's only like an hour flight by helicopter, if that. Okay, I'm done with my preaching. Let me run them islands. You better believe it, Patty. They will remember Dorian. Oh, we've been hit by hurricanes before. It's no big deal. Our concrete buildings, they'll survive. Well, guess what? That one guy, Josh, went to higher ground, which isn't very high, in a complete concrete building, taking children there. And then we lost contact with him. And then I read his tweet. That concrete building was gone. He luckily survived. But that was the safest place from where he was at. It was on a little bit higher ground, but like I said earlier, the highest ground on Abaco, and as far as I know, the Grand Bahama is only like 15 feet. and the storm surge was 20 plus, and that's not counting the winds. And the concrete building was totally gone, totally wiped it out. A concrete building. That tells you right there what kind of force this thing had when it was Cat 5. Okay, I'm done. I'm done preaching now. So, folks, I tell you, I'm really thinking of shutting down the stream. There's really not a whole lot to show. This thing will be weakening eventually. It's also forward motion supposed to speed up, and it's going to be wee hours of the morning. Like I say, the center of the eye was about 80 or 90 miles away from the Outer Banks, the southern part. So you can do the math. It's only moving 10 miles an hour. So it's going to at least take 8 or 9 hours probably to even get there, unless it speeds up. Yeah, exactly, Patty. So, folks, I tell you what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and shut her down for tonight, unless anything cool happens. I know everybody's getting tired. I am too. I haven't even eaten today yet because as soon as I got up, I started working on this. But we'll kind of wait till it gets a little bit closer. Looks like the eye is definitely going to miss Southport. And it's after dark. There's not a whole lot I can show on any of the cameras. So I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. If anything really bad happens, I will bring the stream back up. But most likely, I'll try to do it early in the morning this time. Hopefully, we can get something as the sun comes up. And hopefully, my voice will be better. Yeah, Becky, I'm the same way. And I'll be glad when this one's over with. Give me a chance to rest up for possibly an area to watch has come off the coast of Africa. And according to the 5-day cone, it could be taking the same track as Dorian. So I'll keep an eye on that. So thanks everybody for joining me. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in with me, and we'll catch you up in the morning. Thanks again for any of the bits and subs. That does help me keep coming to you. So, y'all have a good night. I'll catch you on the next broadcast.